Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony. If you are listening to this, you may think, well, hold on a minute. Did I just click the waiver wire video? No, you did not. It's me, Bobby. Anthony, he had some life stuff happen, so he will not be joining us this week. So I will be in the driver's seat. I will be the point guard, the quarterback of the show tonight. And I have a guest with me. And he's been in the fantasy industry, we'll call it the industry, but definitely wrapped up in fantasy for good grief. I'd say at least 20 years. He is the fearless commissioner of our league of record, the League of Unextraordinary Gentlemen that's been running for 15 plus years. Um, if you're in the rec slow pitch softball world, you may know him as Albert Leacho. I believe, I could be wrong here, that he may have the world record for most strikeouts in a slow pitch softball game. But for real, this guy is one of my best friends in the entire world. Welcome, Albert Leach. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here. Doing good. Doing good. Yeah, thanks for complimenting me and making me feel old all at the same time. Yeah, you're right. It's been 20 years doing this. So yeah, happy to fill in here on the A side of the podcast and let's get it going.
Yeah, I was that the nicest I've ever been to you?
Yeah, you're usually nicer to me on video than you are in person, but
No,
it's all right.
people are listening. So I've had Leach on, I've had podcasts prior, and Leach has been on all of them. So he's a good sport and he knows his stuff. So we just finished week 7. We are looking into week 8. Um, we got quite a few matchups. We have quite a few teams on bye. We already are past the Vikings Chargers. What a embarrassment of a game that was for Minnesota. But a 1 o'clock slate, we got the Dolphins at the Falcons, the Bears at the Ravens, Jets at Bengals, Bills at Panthers, 49ers at Texans, Browns at Pats. We got the Giants heading into Philadelphia to play my Eagles. Then we got the 4 o'clock slate. The Bucks are going to New Orleans. Titans are taking on the Colts, the Cowboys, and the Broncos. We got the Packers at the Steelers for Sunday night and Commanders at Chiefs Monday night. Um, this one's, we were talking about this right before we got rolling. I feel like this is a week, and we're not to our locks and upsets yet, but this feels like a week where we either have locks or we have games that could possibly be upsets. And like I said, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but very interesting. Our bye teams, 6 of them: Detroit, Arizona, Jacksonville, Las Vegas, the Rams, Seattle. And then, good grief, if Mageddon wasn't bad enough, it's injury Mageddon this week. Jaden Daniels out again. Brock Purdy still out. Nico Collins is out. AJ Brown is out. Garrett Wilson, Ricky Pearsall still hurt. Bucky Irvin, Chris Godwin still out. Mike Evans now. Welcome back. Just kidding. Broken collarbone. We'll see you maybe never. Calvin Ridley is now out. Dude, this is going to be a very interesting week to see how teams fill all of these empty spots on their rosters. I know I am in dire straits in one of my leagues. How are your leagues looking? And do you have any like deep dives that you have to throw in your lineup to make it happen?
Oh yeah. I can't ever remember a year with this many big name receivers going down. And it feels like it's multiple every week that you're losing people. And it's happened to me twice already where it's one week I lose two or three receivers and just got to scramble from the waiver wire to pick it up. So there's a lot more receivers that are out there just overall that you have a chance on, but I feel like the waiver wire into your starting lineup is happening for sure this week. So I've definitely got a couple.
I'm in one league with it's 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 3 flex. And I have to go with Matthew Golden, Tyler Algier, and Jalen Knoll in my starting lineup. Now, I will say this particular league rewards return yards, which helps Jalen know a little bit. But he was an exciting rookie coming out. Didn't love the landing spot given the depth at the wide receiver position for the Houston Texans. However, he looked like the best receiver this past week, and I would he get 77 yards or something like that. So this is a cross my fingers, cross my toes, pray, get
Yeah.
Joe Boo out here, a little major league reference, get Joe Boo with a cigarette in his mouth and see if Jalen Noel can keep my team afloat this week. It's rough.
Yeah. That's what it feels like. Well, hey, the depth in front of him is gone to this week at least. So you never know.
Can you start a jet this week? Any jet?
Uh, you can start Terod Taylor in a two quarterback league, maybe if he's playing.
Right. Maybe. Can you imagine if he's hurt enough he can't play and they just benched Justin Fields, but he has to play because the guy they benched him for can't play? Oh man,
Yeah,
that's
I don't
something.
know.
I mean, maybe Mason Taylor if you have nobody left at the tight end position, because who's going to catch passes? But
Yeah,
I don't want to put a jet out there at all. Um,
yeah. There's a couple teams like that where you just don't want to stay away from them.
yep. Now, if we're talking real football, we have got some really, really bad teams, I feel like. I mean, Miami, Tennessee, the Jets we were just talking about, Baltimore. Ooh, what a surprise that was. I think they were definitely top two, maybe the best odds to win the Super Bowl preseason.
Yeah.
The Raiders just had one of the worst offensive showings in the history of American football, and I am not exaggerating. And the New Orleans Saints, they get out there, they do their best. They're tryhards, but they're what are they? 1-5, 1-6, whatever the record is. Uh, it's bad. It's not good. And I feel like we don't have really any powerhouses except the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, they have the best record in the league.
Yeah,
They have the
yeah.
best offense in the league. Their defense is fine. Are the Colts for real?
You got to believe in them. I heard actually this week that I believe that they're beating that 18-1 Patriots team for touchdowns per possession right now. They're on pace to beat that. Not scoring
Really?
as many, but just that's how good their offense has been. Just every time they get the ball, it feels like they're driving down the field scoring touchdowns. Half of those are Jonathan Taylor, and then Daniel Jones is throwing it to somebody on the other one. So I feel like
Well,
you gotta believe him at this point. It's been 7 weeks.
yeah, I guess so. And I mean, it's a good thing they have what they have. It's not Andrew Luck, right? He retired. He was a fantastic quarterback. It's Anthony Richardson, right? That the first round was it fourth or fifth pick overall? Nope, not him. Oh, Daniel Jones. That's right. Old Daniel Jones getting it done. I love that for him so much. Um, I just I can't the thought of Daniel Jones' resurgence. I don't know, it makes me feel good inside. Anyway, I have one more question for you before we get into our sleepers and our avoid players, things like that. This game's already over this week, so we don't have to worry about it. But what are we doing with the Los Angeles Chargers pass catchers? We found ourselves in a four-headed monster situation. No team outside of maybe the greatest show on turf and Kurt Warner could keep four guys relevant. So that's not happening. Their top three wide receivers for the season are all between 407 and 479 yards. They got three guys there. All of them have 3 to 5 touchdowns. And now we have Arondé Gadsden just kicking down the door for fantasy relevance. Herbert, as good as he is, nobody is going to keep four guys, give them healthy doses of the football each week. So, what are you doing with these guys?
It's tough. It's funny because you go in the offseason, you thought it was just McConkey, and then it's like, all right, well, they got Keenan Allen, and then suddenly Quentin Johnson's good again, or good as he was supposed to be. With four guys now in the tight end in there, it almost reminds me of like the good 49ers teams from a few years ago where you had four good guys, and you knew any week one of them could be their week, but you never knew when. And then you'd have one of the four that's just gonna maybe give you a goose egg like we saw yesterday. I think it just kind of puts them all into that dart throw territory where you've got, the overall at the end of the year, their numbers might be top 24, the wide receiver two numbers, but you can't trust them on a given week. Um, so I
You
think
also
they're
can't bench
gonna,
him.
yeah, there's a high, dart throw if you're behind in the projections, you need to come back, maybe throw one of them in there. But I certainly wouldn't want to rely on week to week production. But I think having him in the lineup still worth it over some of the guys we're going to talk about of where you get a 5% chance of scoring a touchdown. These guys have a higher percentage of scoring a touchdown, but you never know who's going to go to.
Yeah, your hands are tied. I mean, Lad McConkey's your team. You got to start him. Quentin Johnston. I think Keenan Allen. You have to start. I know he started off hot. Talked about him last week on the show, and he's cooled off a little bit, but he's back at it now. It'd be tough for me to have a player on my team that I think I could start. Like I don't know what my roster would look like where I feel comfortable benching Keenan Allen. So yeah, you roll him out there and you just cross your fingers that you don't get goose egg like Quentin Johnston just did. All right, you want to move on to some sleepers we have?
Yeah, let's
All
do
right,
it.
I give you one. I give you one quarterback for me. Jordan Love versus Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh doesn't have the defense that you're used to hearing about. They're the 10th worst against QBs over the last 4 weeks. Flacco just hit him for 342 and three. He's getting Christian Watson back, which doesn't matter in my opinion for fantasy at all. At least for Christian Watson, it does help Jordan Love and it helps in real football. But I love this week.
Yeah, it's a good matchup. It's funny. It's funny you picked Jordan Love, because I have the league where I have my guy who I'm going to pick, which is you mentioned Joe Flacco. I think we get one more good week out of him. So I had picked him up off the waiver wire, starting him. So I got a trade offer for Jordan Love, and I said I don't know. That's a toss up to me. So I think those guys are both the same there. Jordan Love is that Packers offense, I think, is good. And I think Jordan Love has good plays and he's probably going to score some touchdowns. But I don't know, something with him, I just feel like he misses too many plays and Josh Jacobs can get a lot of touchdowns. So I feel like he's another boom bust guy. I'm going with Flacco because I think, again, they got great receivers. He obviously put up a bunch of points on Pittsburgh last week. The Jets defense is not as scary as they used to be. Even from the pass side, I mean they had a couple shutdown games this year, but overall, more weeks than not, they've given up plenty of points to the receiving side. So I think when you got Jamar Chase, he could break one at 8 points. So those points are going to Flacco, and I think they're going to throw the ball around a lot, and he's still standing up. So you're gonna use him while you can.
That's the thing. I know Jamar Chase and T. Higgins owners. We have one of them. Our buddy Coons as a T. Higgins owner, and he was so excited to have Joe Flacco. He sent us a text in the group was like, "Look, I was just about to shop Higgins, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden we get Flacco in." So I know Chase and Higgins owners are super excited about him. But you made a good point. You said I think Flacco's got one more good week left in him. How many does he have? Because this roller coaster, I've seen it. I feel like I've seen it 4 years in a row now, where he gets hot and does his thing, and then boy, we run off that cliff real fast. He looks good now, but I don't know. I don't know how long you're gonna be able to ride this wave. What's this trade offer you have? What are they offering for Love?
Travion Henderson, who was on my team, my wonderful draft. He was my third or fourth round pick, I think.
Oh, wait, this is our
Um,
league of record.
oh yeah, it is. It is. So
Oh,
who picked up a third quarterback just so I couldn't off the waiver wire, and then tries to trade him to me. Um,
oh, okay.
so I mean, I just and I should just get rid of Henderson just to get rid of him. But then I got to start Jordan Love, and I don't know if I want to roller coaster. You would do it. It sounds like you're confident against the Steelers, but I'm gonna roll with my man Joe Flacco one more time.
All right, all right. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. And look, in that same game, Jordan Love, you look on the other side of the football, man, there's an old guy over there. He's got gray hair. He's super weirdo. But he's QB 14 on the year. That's Aaron Rodgers. He scored 14 points in week 2, but he's been usable every other week. He had 24 and 33 points over his last 2 starts. Um, and guess what? Everyone loves a revenge game. And here we go, Aaron Rodgers' revenge game against his old team. So got to love that narrative. Now, running backs. It's if you have a guy on your fantasy team and his team is playing the Dallas Cowboys, you put him in your lineup. It doesn't matter who you start him over. You just get him in there. And for me, it's J.K. Dobbins versus Dallas at home. Um, and you know what? If you had to, we talked about how ridiculous this week is. I'm telling you, if I had RJ Harvey on my team, I'm starting him probably over Matthew Golden this week.
Mhm.
Starting him over Jalen Noel, that's for sure, because you got to think Denver's going to get up. I think they're a touchdown favorite. I think it's at home, and they're going to get to that third, fourth quarter, and it's going to be RJ Harvey time. And I think he can get you double digit points against this horrid, horrid defense.
Yeah, I got two names, and one of them's RJ Harvey, actually. I think for sure there's going to be points in that game, and um, Dallas is going to make it a shootout. Doesn't matter who they're playing, feels like. And Denver's been in as good as their defense is. They've been in a handful of shootouts this year too. Um, RJ Harvey's out there. He's not scoring as much as Dobbins, but he's out there on the field. He's getting targets as well, which I like, especially in this game too. And even getting red zone targets, here and there. So he's as good as when you get down to these flyers on the running backs. I think he's got as good a shot as anybody scoring a touchdown in a game like this. The other one I had was Tyler Algier as the running back there. So obviously, he's the backup, but he's going to get a lot of points, or they're going to get a lot of carries because playing Miami, so they're the favorite. You expect them to be ahead. Penix is banged up. It sounds like he's probably going to play. But they're at home. They like to run the ball, and they don't have any issues giving Algier the ball when he's in there. And Bijan needs a breath. So they'll give Tyler Algier the rock, and again, dart throw touchdown. I think he's got pretty good odds, a lot better than some of the other guys you could go with this week with all the bias.
Dude, especially at the goal line. For some reason, I mean, Bijan does all the hard work, and then you look up, and here comes Algier with 3 carries from the two, and maybe gets it in. So yeah, listen, I told you I got to start him in a league. So listen, I'm
Mhm.
all for that. I like that. Another one for me. I've thrown him out there before a few weeks ago. Big mistake, but this has got to be an Isaiah Pacheco game. He It doesn't feel good. It feels gross. I don't like it. But he had 12 carries 2 weeks ago, 15 carries this last week, over 50 rushing yards in each. Kareem Hunt's banged up. What are they, a 48-point favorite over the Commanders? I mean, it's a joke. No Jaden Daniels. They're not going to be able to hang the Commanders with this Chiefs team. So I really think Pacheco's going to get some good work here. Oh, and I misspoke earlier. I just checked. Denver's actually only a 3.5-point favorite. But I can't see. I'm going to have Denver to cover that for sure. I think that's an easy win for them. All right, wide receivers. After scoring over 12 and a half points each of his first 4 games, my guy hasn't even hit 5 points in a game since. That being said, you got to make sure Rome Odunze is in your lineup against the Ravens this week. Baltimore is almost a touchdown favorite in this one. They're 1-5. Chicago is 4-2. Maybe Vegas knows something we don't. I know Lamar's coming back, but how healthy is he? Um, I think Rome against this terrible defense, I mean, he is going to soak up fantasy points.
Yeah, the Ravens banged up defense definitely giving up plenty of points. Yeah, it's interesting. You can just tell that's the betting line. Sometimes doesn't match up with what you've seen on the field. It's more of what just people expect. And I actually went to go look a couple days, and the Ravens they're not that far away from the betting odds of winning the division. They're second behind the Steelers, but it's closer than you would think for a 1-5 team.
Which is wild because history tells us they have it's less than a 6% chance to make the playoffs with a 1-5 record.
Yeah.
6%. and they might win the division. I
The degenerates think it's 45%.
Okay, that's
But
fair.
if Lamar, I mean, if Lamar's back and carrying the team, then you could see something. But Lamar's not playing defense. Um,
That's correct. Maybe they want to Travis Hunter and throw him over there.
yeah. All right, so I'm going to go back to that Denver Dallas game. For any of the wide receivers, anybody on either side, probably, or anybody on the Denver side, for sure you want to play. I'm gonna throw the dart to Marvin Mims. I think he's the one that's getting the deeper targets. Troy Franklin, you could also throw in there. But I think if you're playing somebody like that, you probably want a high ceiling, which to me is a deep touchdown. Either one of them could. Mims just seems to be getting more of those targets, and if Bo Nix can actually throw one of those accurately when the guy's running downfield, this feels like a week where you could see one. So you got Marvin Mims there. And Alec Pierce is the other one on my list for the Colts going up against the Titans. Again, he's been really involved. So, Pittman's kind of the one A there. Pierce and Downs. I'm not sure if Downs is back this week, but Tyler Warren. But so there are a lot of names there. But I think Pierce has been just as involved as any of those, and often gets forgetting about right with that group. But he's a lot of times the deep threat too. So this is one of those games where you can see the Colts doing whatever they want, and so if they want to get a deep shot down there, get Pierce open, and get you a touchdown that way.
Yeah, I'm with you. The waiver wire video that I put out earlier this week, I threw out Franklin and Mims as a little 2-for-1 special. I could see that happening. And Alec Pierce, like you said, man, he only needs one catch. 40-yard touchdown
Yep.
and a half point PPR. You'll take that 10.5 points from Alec Pierce and be happy with it. I'm going to dig deeper as well and go with Wan'Dale Robinson. I know he's a guy that everybody loves to hate, but he's only had less than 7 targets in a game twice all year. He's hit 12.5 points or more 2 weeks in a row. And he had his best game 2 weeks ago against the Philadelphia Eagles, who they're playing again. And Philly's cornerback, too, no matter who it is, has been horrendous. I was touting Jordan Addison last week. Put him in. I don't care. Play him. Doesn't matter. And he had a nice week. And Adoree Jackson, who has been the cornerback too, is out with a concussion, I believe. So it's going to be even worse. So I don't mind throwing Wan'Dale Robinson out there during this crazy, crazy week. Moving on to tight ends. I threw this guy out there on a waiver wire video. So let's double down on Juwan Johnson. I have him in 3 of my 5 season-long leagues somehow, not on purpose. But they're going against the Bucks. His Saints, they're certainly going to be playing from behind, and I'm still not convinced that Juwan Johnson isn't actually the number 2 receiver in this offense. He actually is. He has the second most catches on this team. So get him in your lineups.
I'm going to go with both tight ends in the Houston San Francisco matchup. So we talked about Houston a little bit earlier, banged up receivers. I think Dalton Schultz there has, or Dalton Schultz. Is that the guy? Man,
Yes, it's
he's got a good he's got a good chance just to get a lot of targets there. So if you just want some volume with the receivers banged up, I think they're gonna have to throw the ball a bit. The 49ers defense has been better against the run this year. Banged up in the secondary. They're banged up all over the place on defense. But throwing the ball in the middle, especially with Fred Warner out, you get newer linebackers in there. So I think middle field could be an option. And then on the other side, George Kittle, National Tight Ends Day.
oh,
So got to throw
show
in.
your shirt. Show
He
your shirt.
goosed, this is his shirt, the people's tight end. So in honor of George Kittle. Pretty sure he made up this holiday, but last year we had about 750 touchdowns from tight ends on Tight Ends Day. So
Might be
we'll
accurate.
see. We might get a couple this year. But the with Kittle, he goosed you last week. So this is just, to me, feels like a classic Shanahan move of, what the game plan that he designs sometimes is that guy's going to get the points. So I know Houston's pretty good against the tight end, but I think, if the 49ers want to get Kittle the ball, he's going to get the ball. And if he gets the ball, he's going to do something with it. So I think don't be afraid of him, even if he goosed you last week.
Yeah, I've decided I hate Dalton Schultz. I hate him. I hate him with everything that I have. Last week, I was going into the Monday night doubleheader. I was up by two. I had Nico Collins and Kenneth Walker the third, and all the only guy my opponent had was Dalton Schultz, and I lost by 1.25 points. Also had Darren Waller on that squad who goosed
Mm.
me so irritating. I absolutely hate fantasy football. But here we are. I got one more for you. How about Hunter Henry? It's a scary start. He's the kind of guy that may win you your week. He could also lose it for you. That being said, the Browns defense is tough, but they're a bottom 12 defense against tight ends. If Mageddon is getting you, you can sneak Henry into your tight end spot. Now, let's talk about some guys you want to avoid. What quarterback are you steering clear of this week?
Me, it's Drake May. He's been real good this year. But that Browns defense is legit as usual. He's had a lot of success, but I think this week is gonna be a little bit trickier. I would put him very close to the guys we talked about before, Flacco and Jordan Love. That's where he's at for me this week. Which is below. I wouldn't get rid of him, but I would be looking at other options if I could for this week, just because of that matchup. And
It's a good thing Anthony isn't here. He loves Drake May more than I do, and
It's great.
he
Yeah.
may have some choice words and foul language spewing at you. Dude, I'm telling you what, Drake May has looked amazing
All
this
right.
season. I mean, he just set the Patriots record for highest completion percentage in a game. And I'm pretty sure the Pats have had at least one really good quarterback on that team in the history of their franchise.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you earmuffs. Albert, you probably want to throw some earmuffs on for this one. I have touted Mac Jones over and over again. And for those who don't know, Albert is a 49ers fan. Um, and it's not Purdy, it's Jones. And look, I don't want to start Mac Jones or Brock Purdy, even if it was him, against this Texans defense. They've given up by far the least points to QBs over the last 4 weeks. And I am certain, even with the bye weeks, even with all this stuff, you could find someone better to start. Running back, for me, Quinshawn Judkins just blew up with not one, not two, three rushing touchdowns last week. That being said, he's going up against the Pats, who I know we were just talking about Drake May. This is the other side of the ball. Get up the least amount of points to running backs over the last 4 weeks. So it's very tough to sit him. I actually have depth in a league where I can afford to sit him, and I am doing that. But you may not be able to. I'm just very lucky in this league with the depth that I have. But be wary of Mr. Judkins.
Yeah, similar vein with a guy you might not be able to sit, but DeAndre Swift for the Bears going up against the Ravens. He's had a good last couple weeks. He's gotten the ball out. He's had some good matchups. He scored touchdowns. Ravens are getting back at least one of their guys on defense this week, Rokon Smith. They're kind of team captain on defense, heart and soul there. So I expect to see the Ravens defense better this week. And then you've got that Bears team in Chicago. They're on a winning streak, which just feels like it's been too long for the Bears. So as banged up as Baltimore is, and as much as we've talked about them, it wouldn't surprise me to see the Bears lose. I think the Ravens are probably favored, just what we talked about before. But I think the passing game be okay for Chicago. I don't expect a lot from Swift. So if you got somebody better, somebody that's decent with a decent matchup, I might make that swap.
I'm so glad you brought this up because I am in a guillotine league and I'm deciding in my flex between Debo in a tough matchup against the Chiefs with Mariota under center or DeAndre Swift, which we just talked about. I'm leaning Swift, especially with Terry McLaurin coming back. I think Swift's work in the receiving game, they're going to probably have to use him there and lean on him a little bit. And if he can get you three, four catches, that might do just enough. What receiver are you saying? Don't really want to play him if I don't have to.
This I'm going to go the same way again. You probably can't bench him, but George Pickens, he's been great. But this Denver defense is going to be a shootout. We think it could be a shootout. But I think Pickens down the field, Denver's really good about staying with the receivers down the field. Then he might get some PI. He might get some 60 yards of pass interference, but you don't get fantasy points for that. This just feels like one. I think CD Lamb will be running underneath. You got Ferguson. You got the running backs, but I think there'll be a down week for Pickens. Again, probably can't bench him, but I would have lower expectations there. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's, pros to not going over show notes before is that you get authentic interactions and responses and reactions. Um, Cons to not going over is you end up with the same guy, George Pickens. But luckily for me, I am a fantasy football degenerate and I have way too much information in my brain that more than any human should have. So it's easy for me to pivot here, which is something I'll do and go Terry McLaurin. I just mentioned his name when talking about Debo. He is supposed to play this week, but either one, I want to stay clear of them against this Kansas City defense. They've given up the third least fantasy points to wide receivers over the last month or so. And look, we've mentioned Mariota. It's not even Jaden Daniels. If it was Jaden Daniels, I'd still be a little bit leery. Steve Spagnuolo can really ramp up a defense and give quarterback fits. So I want to stay away from those guys. Now, you mentioned something interesting, Albert, the pass interference. You don't get fantasy points for them. That's been a topic of discussion over the years as to whether or not wide receivers should get fantasy points for pass interference. What say you on the topic?
the problem is that you can watch an individual play and say that should be worth something, but if you look at all of them, all the pass interference and all the penalties in general, it'd be such a weird line to do. So I think no. If somebody wanted to say in general, you could give them half points or something, or no catch or whatever, or like a point for first downs generated by penalty. But I would say no, just because there's too many. It gets too weird. There's too many different possibilities for penalties. Um, so I don't think the PI needs to be part of that.
I'm with you. I mean, you love fantasy points and production, and if you can get more fantasy points, you might as well go for it. But I agree. The a point for a first down penalty is interesting. You might be able to sway me there because that's a one or a zero.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's the only way that I could see it. But then it's like, do you give it to for a face mask penalty and a running back? Do they get a point for that? So I don't know.
Mm.
I don't
We'll
even know if those
we'll,
are
re
tracked.
we'll revisit it in 10 more years.
Yeah, I'm
We'll
sure it'll
have
be
some
next
pick.
Sunday.
That's right. All right. Tight end. There's not many left, man. You probably got to start all of them. But who's a guy that you don't want to?
Kelsey, I would avoid Travis Kelsey for the Chiefs just because I think that's
Mm.
Rashi Rice has taken over the middle there, and I don't know if I really trust any individual Chiefs player outside of Rice. Um,
That's
so I
spicy.
would, yeah, yeah, I wouldn't want to go there, and then I wouldn't chase Freiermuth either. I know he had a massive game last week, but I think that's sort of a flash in the pan. So I wouldn't chase that one. I'd go with some of the other guys that we talked about. If you're
I
if
mean,
you're
look,
looking,
the Chargers having four pass catchers is pretty bad. The Steelers having four tight ends is worse. They have four or five tight ends have caught a pass this year, and I love
yeah,
it. It's so dumb. And but they're winning games. So good for you, Pittsburgh and Arthur Smith and all of your tight ends. I think it's wonderful. For me, Zach Ertz, he started with two great games. He disappeared, and then boom, we're back with two more great games. But unfortunately, this KC defense, man, we just talked about it with McLaurin and Debo. You're talking about Travis Kelsey, Hall of Famer Travis Kelsey. Bench your Hall of Famers, is what I heard. Um, you just can't do it. I can't do it. I will say Ertz is always good for a red zone touchdown. This could be a game where he has two catches for 6 yards and a touchdown, and I guess in today's landscape, you might want to go ahead and take that. All right. Anybody else you want to talk to? You want to move on to our lock of the week?
move on.
All right. Love it. For me, Tampa Bay is a 4.5 point road favorite over the Saints. For some reason, during these segments, I lean towards road teams. It's been okay, though. I think I had to go back in the history books and check my record, but it feels like I'm doing all right. I'm not sure I care about who plays and who doesn't for Tampa. And look, I know the Saints, they're going to get out there and do their thing, but I just can't see a world where Baker loses to the 1-6 Saints. It is a division game, and those are always interesting, and you never know, what's going to happen. But it's hard for me to think that the top three player in the MVP voting for the league is
Yeah.
going to get beat by a one-win team.
Yep. Yeah, I think that one's pretty safe. I'm gonna say another thing Anthony would never say. I'm gonna take the Eagles as the lock of the week over the
Yeah,
Giants.
that's what I'm talking about.
I think that game being in Philadelphia, them losing to the Giants a couple weeks ago, I would not expect that to happen again. And I think that they'll have the crowd pumped up. So I also think this could be a big Saquon breakout game. So I expect the Eagles to kind of roll here and really make sure that they're playing on the top of their game against the Giants. They're not going to get swept by a division rival.
Yeah, I agree. And it's in Philly. And I know AJ Brown is out, but Jalen Hurts is fired up. And he played an absolutely perfect game last week. I'm pretty sure he had perfect passer rating. Was it 158.3? And he's ready to roll, man. They called him in locker coming off the field, and he said, uh, we ain't bad word losing anymore. And I think he means it. Now, I don't think they're actually going to go undefeated for the rest of the season, but I think they're locked in. And even without AJ Brown, I think this is going to be a win for them as well. Upset. Dude, I really think there are a lot of options that you can pick this week, especially if you look at the spreads. I mean, you get anything, the Houston Texans and the Niners. Texans are 2.5 point favorites. At home against the Niners. I think the Niners could win that game. I think it's fantasy. You don't love this game or the 49ers, but in real life football, I think they could pull that off. Um, I am I can't do the Saints. I told you that's my lock of the week. But like the Broncos, 3.5 points over the Cowboys. I do personally think the Broncos are going to win this pretty handily. But the Cowboys, they can't stop anyone. But Dak can put up some serious points. Packers and Steelers. That's a coin flip for me. I know the
Mhm.
Packers are 3 point road favorites, but that's a coin flip for me. And I don't know. I just think there could be a lot of choices here. I wanted before today, I wanted to have the Jets over the Bengals, 6.5 points. I like to
Mm.
have it, I know. I try to keep it somewhere around a touchdown so that it's a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody is out. Garrett Wilson's out, and Sauce Gardner's out on the other side, and I just can't, in good conscience, do that. So I also want to pick the Panthers to cover. And maybe I will, but after the season the Bills have had, I mean, can you imagine?
Bye week.
I'm not going to pick the Panthers to win, but can you imagine if they? Oh gosh, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick the Bears over the Ravens. I know I wasn't talking about that one, but I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I said, almost a touchdown, 6.5, I think. And look, Lamar is Lamar, and he's amazing. But can he do everything? I don't think so. And I am going to take the 4-2 Bears over the 1-5 Ravens. Even, I mean,
You're upset.
yeah, right. Think about that. My touchdown upset.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I went a little winded there. But we're going to go Bears over Ravens for my upset.
I think that's one. I would probably take the points with the Bears. I think as long as Lamar plays, I wouldn't bet against him. But definitely could see it happening just with how well the Bears have played if it keeps going. Um, I'm going to go a little bit bigger, I assume, with the line. I think that the Cleveland Browns can actually beat the Patriots this week. We talked about a little bit already about the defenses. It'll be probably be a defensive game. The Patriots have been good. Drake's May's been good. Um, but Cleveland won last week. And I think that if they can kind of muddy up that game, it can be another one of those, back and forth last minute field goal games. Maybe a key turnover here. Maybe, it's been a couple weeks since Ramondre Stevenson's fumbled, so I think he's due for, due for one or two this week, and a big turnover, one play like that, in a close defensive battle could be the difference. So, I think the Browns have to have a chance of pulling off another upset this week.
I have to start Ramondre in two leagues, including our league of record, I think. So let's not say the F word out loud. Okay. We'll say bumble or something. We can't put that juju out there. Your upset is a 7-point upset as the home Pats are favored by a touchdown, and mine is at 7 as well. So I like it. Let's do a dollar bet. You want to do a dollar bet as to who actually gets the upset?
Do it.
I love it. I love it. Anything else for you, sir, before we head out of here?
The last thing, I guess, we got another big bye week coming up next week, week 9. So that's a reminder, I guess, hopefully nobody in our league's listening. But if you can't find anybody to pick up on your bench this week, look ahead to next week if you got bye weeks and pick somebody up that's you might need next week.
That's great advice, especially those onesie positions, the quarterback and the tight ends. In our league, Kyler Murray has been terrible. I think 2 weeks ago, someone dropped him. I scooped him up, and it's like, why would you do that? He's got a bye week coming up, and it's just he hasn't played well. Well, next week, this is a 3-week plan. My guy Jalen Hurts in our league is on a bye, and Kyler Murray is playing the Dallas Cowboys.
Mm,
So if he is out there on the field, he is going to be getting me all kinds of fantasy points. So definitely do that. Find out, especially your quarterback, your tight ends, find out when their bye is. Find somebody at least a week, maybe two, maybe three if your bench can do it, and someone with a great matchup that you can put on your team now so you can get that bye week filler in and feel good about it when that time comes. I like that, Albert. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening. Clipboard Confessional with Bobby and Anthony. Check us out on X, Facebook too. Actually, we never say Facebook. I'm Wall PE, my last name WUGH PE on Facebook. That's an easy way to find us. YouTube, Spotify. We got that clipboard_confessional on Instagram, where my wife likes to play around with the videos and really just kind of tease me with all of the things.
does a great job.
But yes, she does. I know. But once again, I'm Bobby Wall, Albert Leech. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And folks, we will see you next week. Good luck. We are out.